So I spent about like almost 7 years in New York, and there was always this idea that Jewish people basically knew all the business secrets of the world and they own basically all the property. I don't know where that idea came from, and it's obviously not true because, one thing I learned from reading so many books on finance and money and business is that there are really no secrets about money, business, or finance. There are, for example, common practices, ethics, and good ideas when it comes to businesses, and there's just this idea that Jewish people are super good with business, which a lot of them are. I'm not saying they're not, but I've spoken to a lot of people that are Jewish and they aren't that good with business either. So what I'm gonna do in this video is use these common things that are associated only with Jewish people and kind of just tell you exactly what they're about, how they work, and how you can go ahead and apply them to your life. But it's not to say like they invented it or it's a secret, because again, there are no secrets when it comes to finance and money. Every single person that comes up with a good idea when it comes to business and money, they usually tend to publish it to try to make some money, because it's just the way the whole game works. It was actually a great thing. Now, obviously, I am Hispanic, I am a Dominican, I am not Jewish, okay? And I know a lot about business, and it just makes no sense, okay? So I hope you guys actually enjoy this video. It actually helps you in some way. It's not to say some communities actually do things better than others, but it's to say like there are no secrets in business whatsoever. Now, the very first thing, guys, is that I was watching a video on Instagram the other day, and it was this Jewish guy, and he's actually super big on business, and he says, in Jewish communities, we believe, for example, that there are always good cycles and bad cycles when it comes to business. And if you go back to Genesis, I think, for example, chapter 41, verse 25, it talks about it like basically the story of having 7 good years and 7 bad years, and what you're supposed to do during the good years. By the way, when I say good years and bad years, what I mean is, for example, good cycles in the market when everything's going well, and bad cycles in the market when we have recession, depressions, and things are not looking that well, like they're kind of looking right now, okay? So the idea is, what you want to do during those good times is stack up your money. You want to be able to be smart, prepare for the bad times, because eventually it will come. And some people prepare to survive the bad times, some prepare to take advantage and buy things for cheaper, but the overall idea is to have a balance. People that take advantage of things like way beyond their means, they tend to actually suffer a lot, because they're left without cash and left with problems, and a lot of times they actually have to sell. But again, this is not a Jewish thing. It's basically just like common sense, okay? In every single, well, not common sense, because common sense is not common, but in every single thing, there are good parts and bad parts, and they're kind of like, like the seasons, okay? You have the winters, you have the spring. It's just the way the world basically works. So when you're having a good time, don't forget, eventually winter will come, and you want to be prepared for that aspect.
Winter is coming.
Now, number 2, guys, is investing in property and assets. For some reason, in New York specifically, in my experience, which is actually very limited, is that there's this idea that all the real estate there is owned by Jewish people, which obviously is not true. My friend owns property. He's not Jewish. He's just like me, Dominican, okay? So it doesn't make any sense, okay? But overall, is to say, obviously, owning property is actually a pretty good investment, depending on how you actually go about it. Because for a lot of people, guess what? I think 70% of the people that actually own property, well, no, 70% of Caucasians actually own property, and only about 45% of Hispanic actually own property. And the idea is, it's not to say that everyone that owns a property is rich or has a good mindset. A lot of folks out there just go into a bank, put down the minimum like down payment, get a property, and they basically just suffer because they can't afford it, and it's actually not a good investment. But whenever you go into actually investing into property, buying within your means, it actually makes a good investment as far as, for example, security. Whenever it comes to rental property, if you do it correctly, it's actually a good investment. Investing into things that actually grow in value and actually give you some cash flow and money, it's pretty solid if you know what you're doing. But don't ever assume something is a good investment because someone else is doing it. Always invest only into the things you actually understand and know about. Now, number 3, guys, is this. Community is powerful within the Jewish culture, in the sense that they're so intertwined that whenever somebody, an entrepreneur, kind of comes up with something they want to support so badly, and again, that's kind of not true, okay? Because even, for example, in other societies, what happens is, okay, now, there is this perspective, okay, and I see this all the time, where people think that because they're in a business and they're not being supported by their family, their friends, and people in their community, that everyone is hating on them. But in reality, they might just have an inferior product that's more expensive, not reliable, and I see that a lot. So my point is, yeah, it's good to support people in your community that are actually launching something or doing something, but it doesn't mean, for example, you have to do it, because sometimes the product is inferior. The motives are not, well, they're not actually good, okay? So be careful when it comes to these things, okay? But supporting people in the community is awesome. Cooperating, helping each other is awesome. I think that's great stuff, okay? Now, number 4 is negotiation tactics. I read this somewhere and it's kind of crazy, but they were like, Jewish people are so good with communicating and negotiation that basically they negotiated, like Moses negotiated with God and all this other stuff. Okay, it was kind of like a little wing key for me, but overall, I do see a lack of negotiation skills, specifically, for example, in America and our culture, because we don't really negotiate like Asians do, and for example, people in Arabic countries actually do. Okay, so if you go, for example, I've never gone to like China, but I do watch a lot of YouTube, and I love YouTube, by the way. But if you go on YouTube and you look, for example, like Asian markets, you have people that actually go there and they're always negotiating on prices, also, for example, business and everything else, okay? And also in Arab countries. But in America, it's kind of like whatever the price is, we pay it. We kind of forget that negotiation is actually a valuable skill. It actually helps not just when buying something, but when getting a job, being able to negotiate things. When you have a business, being able to negotiate things, not just grab the first price actually offered to you, but trying to get the best deal possible. I think that is an awesome skill to actually have. Now, number 5 is dealing with failure. Failure. I won't even go into that when it comes to, for example, into Jewish culture, because those people have experienced a lot, right? But just in a business sense, failure is just a part of the game, and the whole goal is to learn from your failures, whether you deserve them or not, and basically just improve and try to basically do things a lot better next time. So yeah, I won't even go into that a lot, because those people like experience like a lot, like biblically, modernly, like just a lot overall. Now, number 6 is being honest in business dealings and just having, for example, good ethics. I've never myself dealt with a Jewish person as far as, for example, making a business deal with them. I have heard that though, right? They're very honest and upfront and very ethical. And I had heard that too from Arabs, and I know a few of them they're not. Okay, so it's not to say like everyone's the same, but overall, if you do start a business, you do want to start off with just, for example, just transparency, good ethics, and just being an honest business person. I think that goes a very long way, no matter who you are. Because if you have a customer, if you have partners, if you have clients, whatever you have, like, you have to be able to be someone that's actually trustworthy. And that just makes sense. It's just common sense. So transparency goes a long way. Now, number 7, which is actually the last one here, is money is a tool. Do not make it your master. That's biblical also, right? To talk about that in Timothy. But the idea is the love of money is the root of all sin. And not even just that, but in the sense that money is something that is created, right? We created money in a sense, right? The whole currency thing. And in a sense, like, if you give all the power to this thing, then it makes no sense, because kind of like you can't get enough of it, because you can't get all of it. And the idea of money is to use it. For me personally, I'll tell you this, guys, okay? For me personally, I use money to help me out when it comes to financial independence, to be able to do the things I want to do financially, to take care of my family financially, and those things, okay? But it's not to say like you do everything you can just to acquire more and more and more money, and to acquire more and more and more things, because that's just all marketing and the individualistic idea that we have, for example, in America. But yeah, that's the core idea. So all of these are like 7 very common things that are attributed, basically saying like these are 7 very common things that are kind of like similar to what people say about like Jewish culture, but they're not secrets. They're just like all like common knowledge if you kind of search for it, and they do all apply to us, and we can use them to actually better ourselves. Okay, guys, so that is it for this video. Thanks for watching, and it's awesome. All right, so that is it. All right, yeah. Thanks for watching, guys. As always, like, subscribe, hit the bell to be notified. If you made it all the way to the end, comment down below, no secrets. Because again, in business, there are no secrets. And if you ever encounter someone that tells you, I have a secret that nobody knows, and you just be like, just walk away. Walk away. Or listen to the secret, and then you walk away. Because you'll find out it's not a secret, all right? Up here's another video. Over here's my page, and subscribe. And as always, long-term team officially Out.